Hello all! Turns out I had more of the Angora yarn hiding in the back of my yarn trunk, so today I'll be working the actually last of the Angora aqua yarn. I hope you enjoy. My name is Took. I'm a disabled genderqueer weaver who's had life take odd turns, but who knows that even tattered and worn yarn still has value, and that tired joints and health flares don't have to stop the journey. I weave exclusively with secondhand fibers, aided with adaptive warping, HR and OSHA cats, and a wonderful found family. Welcome to Hawksong Weaving, where all our paths are a little bit warped. First, a bit of an explanation on why I've developed this adaptive warping method. I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which has cascaded into postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So for time's sake, know that I have joints that don't work, and if I shift positions too quickly, I get pre-syncope or pre-fainting symptoms. All of this comes with chronic pain, so for a lot of reasons, a traditional warping board doesn't work for me, along with being really expensive and taking up a lot of space in my small studio. So I use an accordion coat rack as my warping board. It's nice and neat, it contracts into a smaller space, and I can adjust it as I need to. And I don't need to be up and down and all around and having tachycardia, a racing heart, that stresses out my medical alert cat Penelope. You saw her jumping up earlier. Filming this, am in the middle of an MCAS flare, mast cell activation syndrome, which is another cascading effect of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And you can see how red my skin is. It turns out that my body has decided to become allergic to the perfumes in most laundry detergents. So hence why I'm in a borrowed shirt from my girlfriend and am looking more swollen and with angrier skin than usual. This scarf is pretty pieced together. I've got different merino blends for the warp, different merino blends for the connecting bits of the weft, along with the Angora that's in the aqua shade. And it works, but it's not for everyone, and that's okay. One thing I've learned to realize over the time is not everyone has the same taste in scarves, and that's entirely good. Honestly, it means I get more of an excuse to play with different color and fiber combinations. With the warp threads sorted, I'm lifting up the loom to release the warping board from the loom, gathering the warp threads into one large bundle and using the back of my neck to drape them over and keep them tidy and out of the way, while I collapse the warping board and get it tucked out of the way until I'm at a full pause point where I can get it unclamped from my desk. I use terry cloth towels on either end of my warp. This helps provide a cushioning effect and helps the finished weaving from being tighter at the ends and looser in the middle, creating a sort of sausage profile in the weaving. It's not perfect as a method, and I recommend washing your towels every now and then because they can become compacted over time and you really need that fluffy airspace in order for this method to be very effective. The way I warp has me cutting the warp loops at the end of winding the warp. This is what's easiest on my body. It doesn't work for everyone, but that's okay. This isn't a great angle, but I'm being careful to pay attention to how the warp threads are laying on the back bar of the loom, and the right hand thread goes through the smaller hole in the rigid heddle reed. It's not critical, and some minor mistakes aren't the end of the world, but it does make it easier to keep the tension of the warp threads even across the entire weaving. I'd like to thank you for watching. If you'd like to support my work, some free ways to do that are to like, subscribe, or follow, and share. This applies to other small artists as well. It's a great way to let the social media algorithms know that this is content worth watching. If you'd like to support me financially, there's a Buy Me a Coffee linked below, which acts as sort of a tip jar. Also, now that there are so many of you absolutely fantastic and wonderful subscribers, I've been able to link the online Hoksong Weaving shop, so feel free to check out the unique handwoven products, especially as it's getting towards the gift-giving season and I want to make sure that I don't run low on stock before my subscribers get a chance to purchase things, because it's also art market season. This next bit is absolutely a joke, but just in case, in this economy I won't say no. For $1,000, you can tell me that I'm not actually disabled, I'm just lazy, and to try whatever yoga, juice cleanse, snake oil nonsense fixed your cousin. Feel free to message me and I'll get you my payment deets. I take Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal for this nonsense. Attaching the warp to the bottom apron bar is pretty easy, especially for these wool blend scarves. I finger comb it, get it separated into bits about 4 to 5 warp threads wide, separate these bits into 2, and then do a half hitch tie to the apron bar. Then adding on the terry cloth towel to the bottom apron, and all sorted and ready to go for weaving. I prefer to weave at a fairly high tension, so I'm also tightening things up, and if you have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, please be sure to not sublux your thumb tips during this, because you'll see that I'm being very careful not to overstretch mine as they want to bend backwards. Because this is a scrappier scarf, I'm doing a sort of subtle ombre effect. You can see that I've pre-wound my various shuttles, and I'm starting out with the green, and then shifting to the darker blue, and then just to the plain aqua that was used and left over from the previous scarf. These are all merino blends, and they'll complement the merino blend of the warp really well and the aqua angora, and just I love working with this stuff. It slides through your fingers and it doesn't catch on your calluses the way that traditional like microfibers do. It's more of a gentle glide, and it's just such a sensory joy to weave with this stuff. I cannot recommend it enough should you ever have the opportunity. All of this yarn came from the local thrift stores or was donated to me, and I'm incredibly fortunate to live in the Pioneer Valley where stuff like this is donated on a regular basis to the various thrift stores. It's the only way I can afford financially to do what I do. While I was weaving on this project, I ended up needing to take a break and work on some of the e-reader sleeves for an upcoming market, and Penelope Calico did not approve of my continuing to work. Just wanted to share a brief little moment with the medical alert cat of Hawksong weaving, little brat that she is. Now tying off the scarf fringes, I prefer to do 2x2 warps tied into a fringe of 4, but we'll do a double sliding knot of 3 if I don't have a wide enough warp. Again, this is why I love working with merino blends, they knot so nicely. Now getting to flip this over and to see the absolutely unsubtle ombre effect. I love being able to work with yarn like this. It's so soft and it lets me work with fabric and like create fabric. It's so scrumptious and just, yeah, freaking love this. And I am absolutely about to eat a lot of crow because Penelope was right, I was wrong, and yeah, I'm just gonna let this play out. Because this is what it looks like when Penelope Calico is alerting me that my postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome is flaring up and that I should stop working and go rest and drink water and take electrolytes and sodium supplements, and also what happens as a direct result of my ignoring her. Because here's the absolute kick in the pants, she was right to yell at me. In pushing past my POTS flare, I had enough brain fog that I forgot to film the next segment of this project. So know that I steam block my wool blend scarves. This helps the fibers to soften into each other and relax into the weave. Without blocking, you can get wrinkles because the weave tends to be stiff without the added heat and water. Once the steam blocking is finished, I eyeball the length of fringe that I want and use the "don't ask me how much I spent on these good shears" and trim it. The final step is between half an hour and 45 minutes of tying the fringe knots, which isn't always absolutely critical, but I do like to do on all of my scarves because it creates a more finished product, more polished product, etc. But yes, Penelope, you were right, I was wrong, and this is the Took Wrong song. Oh my goodness. I am so mad at myself because this is what I get. This is what I get from not listening to my cat. Thank you for coming along as I ate crow and wove a scarf from the last of the Angora. I'm so glad for the odd turn that your path took that brought you here. Thank you for spending time with me at Hawksong Weaving, where we're all a bit warped, and I hope you have a truly excellent week.